Total Weather Insurance is a product that we've been selling now. This will be our third year, offered through the Climate Corporation. That is a supplemental insurance product that is based on National Weather Service precipitation and rain information and temperature. And basically what it does is it pays when measurable rain and temperatures breach levels that hurt yield. And what's pretty popular about it is it's a very flexible product, being that it's not a federal subsidized product, it's private. Main thing is you can take it on either some of your acres or all of them, so there's a lot of options with that. There is some price point options, so depending on how much risk you want to take and your risk appetite. And also there's really no adjusters, acreage reports, and yield checks done. It's all automated. We've had a lot of success with it. This will be our third year selling it. It keeps growing every year, it seems like, in our book, and I'm just going to walk through it today. This is the Total Weather Insurance corn product for 2013, but basically you can see here, and I'm going to walk through one in more detail. You know, you're covered with excess moisture, early drought, normal season drought, heat stresses, and low heat and freeze units. And I'll kind of walk through the detail on how that works here. The basics of it's the following. There's a few new changes. Every year they change and make it a little bit better. But for this year, what happens is you select your fields with us when you're sitting down and talking, and they go down to the field level. And what they're doing this year is that you actually pick your actual field according to FSA acres, and you pinpoint it. And what that does for accuracy is they're taking into account the soil type that's in that farm. And as we'll get into, you'll realize that that's how they're tracking your soil moisture capacity that your farm can hold. But basically, when we sit down with a customer and walk through it, we kind of discuss how each peril works. The first part here is how they measure precipitation and temperature. The rainfall grids are actually measured using NOAA radar system, and these are 2.5 by 2.5 mile grids across the country. And what they're using is they're using basically Doppler radar imagery to come up with an estimated rainfall in that 24-hour period. And you see all these grids go across the country on an angle, but this is the area that we're talking about looking at. The temperature is actually measured using National Weather Service temperature stations. And what's new this year, last year you had to pick one. This year what they're doing, as you can see there, that's roughly around Flatville, Illinois, just east of Rantoul. They're taking the weighted average of the 3 nearest stations, which is probably one by Rantoul right here. I'm sorry, this one here. But basically they're doing a weighted average depending how close you are to that station, and that's how they're tracking temperature. Now, this is typical prices for this stuff in the county of Champaign. This is a range. It depends on your farm, your soil types, and so on and so forth. The deductible typically ranges from $140 to $200 per acre. This is how much damage has to occur to fulfill the deductible to move on to your coverage. After deductible is fulfilled, the coverage available ranges from $180 to $250 per acre. This is the amount of possible losses you can have, and it is capped. The premiums range typically $30 to $50, depending, once again, on your price point and what you want for protection. So here's just a real basic example. If you had a $200 deductible, your max is $250 and your premium was $42. And say we experienced $450 in loss due to the product. First part of the deductible is paid out, leaves you $250. Then the max coverage is met, it pays that, you take your premium out, and then net after paid premium would be $208 an acre. Now, the way this product works is it has the same sales closing date as federal crop if you're interested in it, March 15th. There is an incentive if you are interested at all to book early. The rate changes every day, and what they're doing is they're looking at long-term weather forecasts to determine a rate on the product. So if we get to mid-February and drought monitors and long-term weather forecasts are feeling there's a high chance of a drought, the premium will go up. If it's not, the premium may go down. I've seen a little uptick in premium since about January 5th, last week, but not very much. But basically, what's nice about it is if you do book it, you have the option to either reduce your acres or cancel the product altogether by March 15th with no obligation. So say you decide, you know what, I'm going to be safe, book my corn acres, but I may not take all of them. By March 15th, you can back off and say you just take an 80. You have that option to do it, but if you do want to keep it, you've got it locked in. So what I see a lot of with some of my customers is they may book a little more than they intend, but they do want the option to keep it if they want it. In case of, say, the premium goes from $35 to $65, they've got an option to keep it if they want to. Basically, also, if the deductible's met mid-season, so say we have some early drought losses and it already wipes your deductible out, it starts applying right to your max coverage and premium immediately. If the premium's met mid-season, so say by July 1st, you've had enough losses that it's covered your deductible and paid your premium, they will check checks automatically as soon as the peril ends. So as soon as, let's say you've got covered by drought and it ends at V or R4 stage, a check will come, usually FedEx or mail direct. So what we've seen for 2012 for my customers who carried it is every single corn policy paid out. And if it didn't max out, it was extremely close to maxing out due to primarily drought and heat stress. So we've seen a lot of success, and we look at it the following way as best uses. Is I see this as it's definitely not a replacement for federal crop insurance. Not a chance. Federal crop insurance is vital. It's subsidized. It's not very expensive for what you get. That covers your portion. This is a supplement to it, whether you use it on some or all your acres. What I see a lot of people do is they take it on their higher risk farms. So say you have an enterprise policy with 600 acres of corn. It's all pretty uniform except for an 80 that may be a rolling farm and you may have it corn on corn. It may be a good candidate to put this on because we look at it as in, say you don't have a loss on your enterprise use, the TWI may cover that if the weather, and keep in mind it's weather driven, it's not looking at your yields, it's just if the weather happens that could cause yield losses, it's covered. Getting pretty popular with hybrid seed corn growers. There is federal crop insurance for hybrid seed corn. It's pretty basic, and a lot of times you don't have control over it. The company you write with does. So I do have some people who will take it to kind of to top end their hybrid seed corn. There's a lot of value in it, so they kind of look as protecting it. And really, it comes down to it's a hedge against adverse weather. So if you have a drought year, it may just kind of pad that insurance claim you're already getting. One new thing for 2013 before we move on is the fact that they've now provided a service, they call it climate.com, but what this allows you to do is when you can map all your farms, which we do for you, obviously, in climate.com, like we're doing when you set up a quote. And what it does is it can provide you weather forecasts, current, 24-hour, and 7 days for each farm you have. And I'm going to show you a picture of this right now. It's pretty unique. This is something you probably have to pay for a service if you wanted it, and this is provided for no cost. This is an example of my dad's, just what it would look like if you logged into it. This is for a Fithian farm he's got over in Vermilion County. It's telling us current conditions right now, January 18th, 10 a.m. It's going to give us a 24-hour forecast, and it's going to give us a 7-day. And when we want to switch farms and look at a different one, so say I wanted to go to, let's say my brother's house. It's 35 there, 19-mile-an-hour wind and falling. So it'll give you a 7-day forecast for each one of your fields. Field weather tracker, this is pretty unique. What this is going to do is this is going to allow you to track each one of your farms' current conditions. Now, not all of this is on here yet because the policies haven't started, but this is, for instance, Lyle's house. It's going to give you just a basic overview of how much rain you've gotten for the year, the high and low temperatures you received, the current soil moisture and the changes, and then you can also track the amount of rain. You can track your soil moisture, and what I did is you can go back into history too for each farm. So I'm looking at 2012, and we're looking at my brother's house where we were riding on soil moisture according to dates. And you can track where our corn growth stages were, when we approximately started planting, and then it tracks where pollination occurred and so on and so forth. So that's another service. Crop Impact Tracker, which isn't available yet, but they're getting it ready to get it established. What this is going to allow you to do, and I'll kind of scroll down and you can kind of see screenshots, is for every single farm, it's going to say what the estimated yield impact according to weather was during the past 30 days, what they're estimating your yield is going to be, and daily what temperature caused what or weather and what they think the yield impact was. Now, like I said, these numbers actually correlate to the losses they're paying on your policy. So say there was a 1.2 yield impact, they're probably going to pay $6 an acre according to that to correlate it back. So this is allowing you to kind of track each one of your farms. The biggest thing about this is it doesn't cost anything, and you can have it even if you don't purchase a policy with them. So one thing is, say you only bought 80 acres, we'll map your other, say, 800 acres for you. You can still track it if you want. You just won't have coverage on it, but you can have this service. And they're even going to allow us to offer it to everybody if they don't even buy the product. So what we're planning is, for any of our customers, whether they buy this or not, or prospects, if they want this service, we'll help you get it and set it up for you. You do have to have an email and, of course, access to the internet, but we think this is real valuable. If it's something you want, whether you want to buy climate protection or not, I feel like my guys who would use it will help you out set it up.